Hi, welcome back to Real Auto Reports. I'm Jonathan McGrew, and today we are with the 2013 cute and lovable VW Beetle. Now, this is your TDI model, so this is a turbo diesel. And, well, maybe we shouldn't be calling this cute and lovable. Maybe we should be calling it aggressive and masculine, because that's really what VW's been trying to go for. Now, we're not sure if they really did that, so we're going to take a real close look at this car and give you all the details so you can find out what it is that makes this VW Beetle the next generation. So, join us as we hit the road. Hi there, so here we are in the 2013 VW Beetle TDI. That's your turbo diesel, as we mentioned earlier. And, it's such a neat car. I mean, we love the look of it. It's got great style and class inside. And, it makes us wonder, is this really different, though, from the last generation? And have they really created a new persona for the Beetle? So let's check it out. First things first, the Beetle Turbo Diesel is going to be a car that is going to be on the environmental bend. It's going to be a real performer in the MPG area. So this car is going to get 28 miles per gallon in the city and 41 out on the highway. Now, this model that we are testing today has the DSG automatic, which for most people who know VWs, and if you've seen our VW EOS video, you know that this transmission is actually really nice. It does a lot of good things for you when you're driving to get the power to the road. And we like the way it drives a lot. One of the things you're not going to notice is a ton of turbo lag in these cars because of the DSG. And the new clean diesels that are in these VWs, they don't make a lot of noise. As you can see, we're driving along here in an old Mercedes diesel from back in the day, or if you had an old Rabbit diesel from VW back in the 80s, this car would be making a ton of noise while I was accelerating. These cars are quiet. You wouldn't know it was a diesel unless somebody told you. And the other thing is that it doesn't really start any differently anymore. You just get in the start button, because we have the intelligent key here. You just hold the brake pedal down, hold the start button until it starts, and off you go. You're away to the races. And it's a really nice thing that they've done with the diesel technology to make them really livable. Now, this car actually, despite how crisp and tight it looks, is not all that optioned up, to be honest. It does not have a rear view camera. It does not have navigation. And it does not have a sunroof either. So this is kind of your base TDI model. And it's nice that when we get these in the press fleet, because a lot of times they give us the top of the line. And it's hard sometimes to tell what a more normal version of the vehicle might be that someone would buy. And this is really it. It does not have park assist. It does not have power seats. What it does have is a nice sound system. It does have satellite radio. It does have Bluetooth integration for the phone. And you do have the performance gauge pack, which includes your turbo PSI gauge, a stopwatch, which is kind of interesting, and your oil temperature gauge, which, again, for most people may not really mean much, but it's there and is nostalgic, at least. So some other things that are kind of interesting about this car in terms of what it offers is that this has the VW text interior. So it may look like leather. It's actually not. It's kind of like what they used to call Mercedes text interior. It's a vinyl kind of blend. And it feels kind of leathery-like. It's a soft, smooth and comfortable material. This has got the multicolor quartz interior, pardon me. And, it does everything you'd want it to do. It even has heated seats, which is great. So it's got those things that are valuable and value-oriented. It does not have automatic lights. So that's okay. The one thing I do notice though about this car as we were testing it, and this is something I am terrible about because almost every car I drive these days seems to have auto headlights on it so that you don't have to worry about turning them on and off. Well, this car is back to the old school. And yes, we know the Beetle was originally introduced in 1949, but the thing it does not do is if you leave the lights on, turn the car off, and get out and walk away, it leaves the parking lights and the running lights on, and it doesn't shut them off for, well, longer than I've been willing to let it sit there. Let's put it that way, which is kind of interesting because my '02 Hyundai Elantra, if you did the same thing, you turn the key off, you pulled the key out, it would turn the lights off because it knew that you had forgotten basically to turn the switch off. So, and then when you get in and put the key in, it would turn the parking lights on. You start it and the headlights would come on, and it was just that was just kind of how it worked. So you can leave the headlights on by accident in this car. Make sure that you're aware of that. Because I have walked away from this car way too many times during this week and all of a sudden realized my lights were still on. Some other things that are interesting about the new Beetle is the way it drives. It really does drive quite nicely. I find that it doesn't have a lot of body roll. It has a nice road sense. The steering is nice. I like the wheel a lot. I love the fact that the color from the outside, this denim blue, comes through onto the dash and around, but also up here on the wheel. The feeling of the wheel is good. The steering is not heavy. It's not too light either. It feels good. It is not a sports car sense, but at the same time, the road holding of this car is actually quite nice. When we go around these roundabouts here in Colorado that we find that this is just a nice driving car. It's predictable. It's got good suspension. It rides well. The noise canceling inside is fairly decent. You don't notice a lot of wind noise. The most of what you're getting in terms of feedback is road noise through the tires, which is fairly normal for most vehicles even today. The braking is good in this car. What you're going to notice about the DSG automatic is that it does help slow you down by downshifting and keeping everything in sync so that you actually are having to use less brake pressure to slow this car down, because if you're just coasting and you're easing into the brakes and you just kind of ease down here, it's actually downshifting each time it gets to a point in a gear where it needs to. Now with the turbo, it really will go in the diesel. But with 140 horsepower, the diesel is a little low on the horsepower side, but high on the torque. It's got 236 foot-pounds of torque, and that is more torque than the 2-liter turbo Beetle. That said, the diesel is still only going to go 0 to 60 in about 8.5 seconds. So it's right up there with the 2013 Hyundai Elantra that we've tested. And it's comparable in price, too. This car is tested as about $25,000. So the thing that it doesn't have is it's not a value-oriented package at $25,000, because what you're really paying for at $25,000 is the turbo diesel and the 41 miles per gallon out on the freeway. So keep that in mind. If you want to add sound, the Fender sound, these cars have a deal with Fender guitars. So the sound is by Fender. So you can add Fender sound, navigation, and sunroof. So SSN, if you will. For in the diesel, you'll be right up there, about $26,000, give or take a little bit there. So you can get a really nicely equipped car for closer to $26,000. And so that's not a huge uplift in price, if you ask me. If you wanted to go a little cheaper than that, though, and still get that kind of value, you can actually get a base Beetle starting at $19,995, according to their website. Now, we're going to pull over here because this actually is a good point of reference that we should talk about. There are a lot of different ways to get this Beetle equipped. So you can get the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder non-turbo, and that's your base model, so that's $1995. You can get that with the sound, sunroof, and navigation for $24,395-ish. Or for that same price, you can jump up to the base model Turbo. Turbo has 200 horsepower, and that'll do 0 to 60 in about 6.8 seconds. So you can see that's that's almost 2 seconds better than the diesel. And then you can jump up to the sunroof, sound, and navigation in the Turbo for $28,995. So for $26,545, you could have this turbo diesel with sunroof, upgrade sound, navigation, and you would have a really, really nice car for mid-26s. So there's a lot of ways you can get this car outfit, and there's even more things you can do, like get special editions. There's a Fender Guitar Special Edition. There's a 50s edition, a 60s edition, and a 70s edition, all with styling cues from the decade. So that's pretty cool. This car being a fairly entry-level car, it still has the aux input, and then in the glove box down there, you have your Bluetooth, or iPod rather, integration. And then you have a cute little dashboard storage area up in the front fascia of the dashboard. And if you were to option this car up with more of the tech package and stuff like that, you could also get the bi-xenon headlights with the LED running lights that run around the cute little eyeball lights up in the front of this car. And I guess now that I have said that, we should talk about the exterior looks of this car. So let's talk about that next. One of the things the VW brand tried to do with the Beetle when they decided to reinvent it was they took a look at the last generation that had been running for more than a decade, and people loved those cars. They were buying them, but they had gotten long in the tooth, and by a couple years ago, they just weren't selling quite the way that they used to. And they decided, like many car companies have in the last couple years, that they were going to go to a more masculine look. And so that's what they've done. When you look at the outside of this Beetle, and if you go look at our first impressions video, you can get a real front, back, side to side, and you can see the car going around in circles, so you get all aspects of it. This car has much more angled areas on it than the previous generation. The other generation was very round, very bubble-like. This car has been elongated. The roof has kind of been chopped. You can kind of see it here in the video probably, where you've got the slope of the windshield and then it kind of cuts sharply to go back to the Beetle rake of the back of the car to give it that standard Beetle look. The front bumpers have a kind of edge to them and then a front. All of this gives it a much more aggressive styling, and the kind of chopped top is actually more reminiscent of California custom Beetles of the 60s and 70s. And so we think that they've done a really nice job at reinventing the personality of this car once again, because the Beetle is something that has been around since 1949. It's not a new concept, but you have to do something to spice it up every now and then. And they have done that throughout their history, from the original with, the split back window. Then you got the Super Beetles in the 70s, and, you got air conditioning finally in those cars and bigger motors and things like that. And then, for a long time we didn't have a Beetle, and then the new Beetle came out, and that really restarted the love affair. One of the things I really like about this car is that you don't get the sense that it has that long dashboard inside anymore. One of the other things they've done is really shorten the dashboard. On the Beetles before, you were sitting pretty pretty much where I am today, but the dashboard, I mean, I couldn't even reach the front of it. Now the dashboard's much shorter, but the hood area is feels more elongated, and so the whole car feels just different enough that it feels new and it feels special again. And we really think VW has done a good job at breathing life back into a car that has been around their company and started the success of the VW company from the beginning. I mean, the VW Beetle was the people's car in Germany, and this car is a blast to drive, and it looks great, and it's just got that flair again that I think is going to make people stop, look, and maybe even buy. So that's the real review of the 2013 VW Beetle TDI. It's a pretty neat car. It is much more aggressively styled than the previous generation was. It has 140 horsepower turbo diesel motor that gets about 41 miles per gallon out on the freeway, somewhere around 28 miles per gallon in the city, and then it's got about 140 horsepower. Now that may seem low in the horsepower figures, but this car can still get you 0 to 60 in about 8.5 seconds. So all in all, it is a pretty value-packed car. It's got great looks and will really make you stand out in the parking lot or out on the road. It is a car that is typically Beetle and VW, and we have to love it. So we give Volkswagen kudos for yet again reinventing something from 1949. Until next time, we'll see you down the road.